This is Unbranded Christianity. Today's topic is the GOO and the Do of truth. What does that mean? Stay tuned and you'll find out. Okay, we're still talking about truth. This is going to be the next chapter in our series on truth. And the goal of today is for us to better understand how truth impacts our daily lives. So, what are we talking about and why? Truth is one of those things that whenever we encounter it, it comes from God. I truly believe that all truth is God's truth. And we know that it's truth that comes from God when it does one of three things. The first is it changes or challenges or corrects the way we view God. That's the first thing it does. The second thing truth does is it can change the way we view others. It corrects us, it shifts us, it changes us. The third way that truth impacts us is it challenges the way we view ourselves. So we have God, others, and ourselves. The GOO, God, ourselves, others, of truth. It challenges one of those three things. All truth is God's truth, but not all truth actually challenges the way we view God himself. It can actually just change the way we view our neighbor in light of that. So truth challenges or goes after God, ourselves, or others, the GOO of truth. And second to that is the Do of truth. The GOO and the Do. And the Do is very simple. In light of what truth shows us about God, ourselves, or others, what do we do with this? How does this impact the way we do relationship with God, ourselves, and others? Truth challenges, but it also kind of gives marching orders in a discovery way. It doesn't just say, don't do this, or do this. It says, here's a principle. How does it apply? So for example, love your neighbor as yourself. The truth of that is that you need to love your neighbor as yourself. The implications of how to do that and walk it out isn't explained. It's an open invitation because it requires you to know, one, how do you love yourself? But two, how should that loving of yourself impact how you love your neighbor? So with truth, it's very simple. It requires the GOO and the Do. God, ourselves, and others are always in connection with when truth is revealed to us, right? And then what we do with that information, the GOO, and then the Do, is the implementation of truth. So for example, I am married, I have a daughter. The more I learn about my wife, the more it affects how I should interact with my wife. The more I hear about her history, her struggles, her fears, her passions, when that's revealed to me, which I think is truth because it's a portion of her truth of who she is, it changes the way I interact with her. This isn't her situation, but imagine that she had a father that was extremely abusive and very stern, very short, very, angry, so to speak. When I encounter her, the truth of knowledge, of knowing what's going on in her life should affect the way I interact with her. I should approach her in gentleness. Now, pause. Husbands, significant others, wives, you should always approach your significant other with gentleness, not with rudeness, not with shortness. But that's just the thought, right? Like when I know the history of something, when something comes to knowledge in my mind, then I can take that and I can run with that and I can affect the way that I interact with someone. And that's the Do of truth. There's the GOO. When we encounter truth, it challenges God, ourselves, and others, and it challenges the Do of how we go about doing it. But it's typically an open-ended Do. And we'll talk more about this later in another chapter of how to implement what that looks like in life. But for today, very simple. Truth. You know it's truth when it challenges your view of God, yourself, and others. Now, I'm not talking some sort of like national political agenda truth that everyone kind of tries to seek out. No, I'm talking about like real existential, real like impacting soul and mind and heart and spirit truth, which is really the truth that we should focus on, the stuff that actually changes our day-to-day and changes those around us day-to-day, not this unobtainable, ethereal, like so big that we can't obtain it truth, which is really subjective. So in the process of all truth being God's truth, we really have to dial into when the test of truth, and Scripture says that truth will set you free. And honestly, that's the basis for this thought, is that the truth will set you free in how we view God. It'll set you free in how we view others, and it'll set yourself free in how we view ourselves. It'll set you free in our actions to interact with truth. So there you have it. Truth, the two pieces of truth that are the measures to validate truth is the GOO, how it changes our viewpoint of God, ourselves, and others, and the Do of how we interact with others in light of truth. I hope this is helpful. I hope this gives you a litmus test at the top of the funnel to help to weave into your life more and more truth that impacts you in a positive way. Because we know that truth, when it comes in those ways that challenges and corrects and forms, that it's from God. Hope this helps. Have a great day. Thank you for jumping in on Unbranded Christianity.